Mbappe is looking terrifying. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Mbappe is looking scary. It's looking very, very scary. Real Madrid are playing well, and with Barcelona having Lamine Yamal injured and a lot of players injured so far, Real Madrid are kind of sort of pivoting themselves to be the favorites for this season for La Liga campaign, and I want to talk about that today because I saw the game between Real Sociedad and Real Madrid, and they played really well. They played really well. They did one of those champion performances because they pulled out the game out the bag by having 10 men in the field since minute 33 due to a red card from Dean Housen. So, very good on Real Madrid. Let's talk about it. What's going on, guys? ¿Cómo están? BugaLuis here. Welcome back to another video here on the channel. And quickly today, I just want to talk about this game, Real Sociedad versus Real Madrid. I want to start doing a little bit more videos talking about our rivals because I think that a lot of the things that happen for Barcelona, for our team, of course, also come down to, well, Real Madrid and how they are doing. And Real Madrid so far are looking good. I gotta admit, I think Real Madrid, they haven't had the best start of the season in the sense of a playing sense. They haven't been having the Xabi Alonso sort of mechanical football that we've gotten used to at Bayer Leverkusen. That sort of very fast, free-flowing wing play that they normally usually have. Xabi Alonso here has changed a little bit, has decided to go a little bit more pragmatic and decided to go with what, well, he knows best and what Real Madrid actually would favor, that it's basically getting the best out of their best players. In this case, Kylian Mbappe, and the favorite for Xabi Alonso, that seems to be Arda Güler, both of who scored today, which is a very important point. However, in terms of statistics, in terms of points, Real Madrid have gotten a perfect start so far to La Liga campaign. They've beaten all of the teams that they face so far, and they have to be facing next, I think, if I'm not wrong, Atletico Bilbao, which could be an even harder game, but so far so good for them, really, in all honesty. They're looking good. Oh no, it's Espanyol, and then they have Marseille in the Champions League before that. So I gotta be honest, in these 4 games, Real Madrid, they've been doing okay. But the main point that I want to stress out is Kylian Mbappe. In today's game, Kylian Mbappe scored and assisted the other, and he is looking very, very strong. I know last season for me, he was one of the best players. I gotta admit, even though Real Madrid didn't win all of the trophies, he scored, I don't know how many goals in La Liga, how many goals in all competitions, in the Champions League, in the Club World Cup. He was always there. Kylian Mbappe was showing up, even with the Club World Cup, missing because of that, I don't know, gastroenteritis or whatever he had. He looked okay. I think Mbappe is looking at a very high level, and you could see that he, after all these 7 years after rejecting Madrid, he wanted to show up, and he's showing up. I gotta admit, he's very fast. He's very, very electric on the ball. Today for the assist on Arda Güler, I think he was superb. The goal also was very good. The goal that he scored against Real Oviedo earlier in the season was also very, very good. Mbappe is looking like a one to handle, and in contrast to how Barcelona are taking care of their superstar, which is Lamine Yamal, in contrast, I think that Real Madrid currently have an edge on that. I think that Mbappe is firing at a level that Lamine isn't currently. Lamine has come from the international break with 3 assists on the back, which is good against Bulgaria and against Turkey, and that's good on Lamine. But he played like 73 minutes on one game and 79 on the other, and he's now injured. There isn't a sort of free-flowing, transparent communication between the Spain national camp and Barcelona and Hansi Flick, and I think that's where we are losing a bit of the running so far at the start of the season. The good point is that I think that for a team like Barcelona, for instance, having a slump at the start of the season is always what you want to see, and you don't want to peak too early. That's sort of what happened, I think, with Barca last season. That's sort of what happens normally with other teams. You want your peak to be around that sort of February, March sort of time frame, which is the hardest part of the season. That's when you want your team to be firing at all cylinders. And so far, if we have the injuries right now, I think could be a positive for us. But in all honesty, I think that when it comes down to what we're seeing at the moment, there is no kidding yourself. I think Real Madrid are doing very, very well, and Barcelona are sort of struggling so far because there is something to the rhythm of our team that is not really sharp. To continue talking about this, I want to show the lineup that Xabi Alonso went on for this game. So if we take a look at this game between Real Sociedad and Real Madrid, Xabi Alonso went with the following. So as you can see, he's not playing his usual three at the back. He decided to shift, like I said. He went with Courtois, Daniel Carvajal, Eder Militao, Dinhausen, Alvaro Carreras, who's been surprising me quite a lot. He's a decent fullback, I gotta admit. Tchouaméni, Ceballos, Arda Güler, Brahim Diaz, and Vinicius Jr. Arda Güler as that number 10 is really giving Real Madrid the sort of, it's dictating the game, something that they didn't have last season. I think that with the departure of Toni Kroos, they never were able to replace that. And what what Xabi Alonso identified is that he has already a player like that in their books. And they have Arda Güler. How can we get the best out of a player like this and make him flourish? And that's what Xabi Alonso is doing, is looking at this team, setting two pivots behind Arda Güler and letting Arda Güler run the game. And I think that is really beneficial for Kylian Mbappe. Plus, Kylian Mbappe up top, having someone like him who can feed them the balls constantly, I think makes a good partnership between Mbappe and Arda Güler. And I think it gives Mbappe the full width of the left and the right hand flank to drift where he wants. He needs that sort of space, Mbappe, that freedom to go wherever he wants, because as being one of the best players in the world and potentially the best player in the world, he has a lot more, let's say, less responsibility for the tracking back and whatnot, and he can just command himself in the attacking third. And that's what we see, what we are seeing from Mbappe so far this season. I think that is it's very strong from Mbappe. The form he's showing right now is very terrifying, and honestly, it's scary how good he's been so far. The thing for me here is that the other thing, Xabi Alonso has made it clear that in his line of favoritism, in contrast to Ancelotti, for instance, there is no Mbappe, Bellingham, and Vinicius Jr. No. Xabi Alonso is saying Mbappe is my number one. And this could be due to not only the injury from Jude Bellingham, the transfer rumors or that happened surrounding Rodrigo, but the fact that Vinicius Jr. started the season and he's been the guy to be substituted more so than often, he has identified that as a key role. Vinicius Jr. is being substituted a lot during this season. He's been substituted quite a lot, and I think that makes it so. For instance, minute 68, Vinicius Jr. was out. That is something we don't normally see with Ancelotti before. Xabi Alonso has said, Vinicius Jr., yeah, you're an amazing player, but for my system and whatnot, you are not suited as much as someone like Mbappe, for instance. Mastantuono is someone that plays better in this system so far. And the same with Daniel Carvajal over someone like Alexander-Arnold. I think that Xabi Alonso is making strong decisions, and that is something that other teams, don't have the luxury of having that many players for the different positions. And he's sticking by it. He's sticking by his decision making, and that is making this Real Madrid string very strong. I think Xabi Alonso has a lot of personality as a coach, and you can clearly see that in his team selection and his substitutions. So, yeah, I think that right now Real Madrid are good. Are a team that we should be worried about. I think there are some key points still that they need to improve. I think the double pivot behind someone like Arda Güler could be improved. I think the best that they could do could be potentially Camavinga and Tchouaméni. I would be interested to see where Valverde would fit in. I would actually play Valverde on the right-hand flank to just run that channel, have Carvajal as more of a stopgap at the back, and then leave Vinicius Jr. on the left, or even I would go as someone as saying like Rodrigo. I think Rodrigo in the left wing position has looked very good when he has played here this season, more so than Vinicius Jr. So maybe there's no space for Vini in this side. It's quite interesting to see how Xabi Alonso develops this and this team overall. And that's kind of what I wanted to mention in this game. I think it's a very good Champions win from them against Real Sociedad. I think Real Sociedad, I was expecting them to get the win, but the second goal really killed them off. The red card on Dinhausen wasn't really a red card in my opinion. I guess that's something we can take a look at, because in all honesty, it wasn't. Like, I want to be as objective as possible, and the Dinhausen card wasn't a red card. Let's take a look at it. Here, my favorite account, Archivo Bar. So this is the ball. Dinhausen is chasing, I think, Oyarzabal, and he pulls the player, and that's a red card. In my book, as a referee, I'm not a referee, but he has two players there, and he's sort of very wide. I don't think he's as close as a challenge as we could anticipate. However, there's this other image that shows, and it's by a Barca fan, so take it with a grain of salt as well. You know, I'm a Barca fan, but above all, I love football, so I want to be as objective as possible. You can see that here, Oyarzabal, if he does get past Dinhausen, I mean, he still has Militao there, but Courtois is so far out of his line that they are sort of on a one-on-one. So I guess that's sort of maybe a sort of judgment that the referee made here, and see as to whether this was a red card or not. They didn't even check it in the bar at the end, and I gotta admit that for me, it's okay, I guess. I always say this. I always say that good teams, they don't really need the sort of benefit or the advantage of the favoritism of the referee. If you're good enough, like a Real Madrid and Barcelona, you should be able to win games without the referees, or despite the referees' decision making. Like, and I think that's what Real Madrid showed today. Like, of course, it's gonna be an uphill battle to do it, but if you really want to be champions, you need to be winning these games despite the circumstances. And I think Real Madrid that they did that today in numbers. I think they showed that today. They were very greedy. I think Xabi Alonso understood the game. He made interesting substitutions. He brought in, Alaba. He brought Asensio, Raúl Asensio. He brought Fran Garcia. So he substituted 3 defenders to fix that back line after moving Tchouaméni to the defensive line, where I think they lost so much. So this is something that I kind of also wanted to point out, and why I made this video is because, as you can see, Xabi Alonso has that personality to forgive the philosophy that he's building. And maybe that is something you're able to do a lot more in Real Madrid. I do not know the pressure that maybe someone like Hansi Flick has from people like Laporta and the board to play a certain style of football. But you can see that Xabi Alonso has no problem in giving away that. Hansi Flick has done that in some instances, in some cases. We've seen games where Alejandro Balde plays as the left winger to have a little more cover and Gerard Martin be the double left back. We've seen games like that, but we've never really seen 3 defensive substitutions quite like that from someone like Hansi Flick. And I think that is something that we do need to change to win a competition like the Champions League. When Bayern Munich won the Champions League, that team from Hansi Flick, people forget that they conceded a lot of goals. I mean, they conceded even 2 goals against the worst Barcelona side ever. And yeah, like I think that's something that Barcelona needs to tune just a bit. And in all honesty, the season is still very, very long. There's a lot of things to take away from this still. There's quite a lot of time to come. But if there's things that you need to watch out for Real Madrid here, if you're a Real Madrid fan, if you're a Barca fan, basically if you're a Real Madrid fan, you need to thank Xabi Alonso, thank Florentino Perez, because you have a serious manager on your hands. I think you really do have a serious manager who understands the game, understands his shortcomings, and I think that is very, very, very good from anybody, from any professional. And in the case of Barcelona, that Mbappe and Arda Güler are playing really good, and I think that that's going to be a good combo for whatever comes from Real Madrid this year. And it's going to be interesting to see how Xabi Alonso manages once someone like Jude Bellingham is back in the team. Will he play Jude Bellingham as another number 10 behind Mbappe? Maybe we could see something like Arda Güler, Bellingham, and Mastantuono with 2 double pivots. I don't know. We have to wait and see how Xabi Alonso changes that. But for now, guys, that's going to be it for me today. I just wanted to react to this news, slid a little bit of that info from Lamine Yamal being injured so far for the game against Valencia and possibly against Newcastle as well, which is very unfortunate. And let me know in the comments down below what do you think about this, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Ciao, ciao.